Good evening.
Good evening, Chris. Let's talk about music.
We can do that. No.
We can talk some music. Yeah, it's January now, and we recorded the first one in June.
Yeah, so we're on pace for 2 episodes this year at least.
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can work that out. Yeah, we miswrapped though. We just got caught up doing life shit. Life gets in the way.
Watching
so
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and more important things than our podcast. So, what was your Wrapped like, if you remember?
I think if I'm not mistaken, my top artist was Giz.
Classic.
Yeah. I'm like 60% certain number 2 was Bootleg Gizzard, because I listened to a shit ton of the Red Rocks performance around like August or so.
That's crazy. I remember you mentioned they're both in your top 5, but if there were actually 1 and 2, that's fucking awesome.
I can't remember. Honestly, I think it actually might have been Holy Wave in number 2. That seems more likely. I listened to a lot of Five of Cups.
Yeah, goddamn, dude.
It's a fucking good album, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably like, I've listened to that heaps since it came out, and like honestly, I think it might have surpassed my own like how I'm ranking their albums beyond Adult Fear.
Yeah.
Like Interloper's still number 1, but goddamn, Five of Cups.
It's great. Yeah, there's some really good tracks on there. I'm a huge fan of Hypervigilance, I think the title is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, they got such a good way of blending like a Kraut influence without being fully like a Kraut band. Just the drumming and like the way the whole rhythm lays the foundation. And that's just something that's like a kind of across their whole discography I've noticed that has gotten just ever more refined as they keep going. It's like it's crazy. It's the rhythms are intricate sparsely when they need to be, but for the most part it's just like it serves as a foundation while never feeling boring, which is, to me, that's perfect Kraut.
Yeah, no, they're really good at choosing sounds as well. Like, they've gotten really good with synthesizers since Adult Fear. Like,
Yeah.
into Interloper it was really good, but I find it's even better on this album.
Totally.
And just
Big
guitar
agree.
tones too are fantastic.
Yeah, do you have any idea what kind of gear they're using? Like what synths, what pedals?
The only thing I know is I saw an Instagram story of one of them in the studio, and I think he was playing a Prophet,
Holy shit.
which
okay.
makes sense given some of the sounds on there.
Yeah, fuck, eh?
But that's the only thing I know. I mean, I'm sure whatever they're touring with
Yeah.
is probably stuff they're using. So.
Yeah, because actually, isn't that a thing that you mentioned one time to me where I don't know if it was just Interloper, but I think you mentioned Interloper was recorded at a different place where they got to use synthesizers and gear that was at the studio they went to that might not necessarily have been their own personal stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember reading that in an interview where I think Ryan in an interview said that they wrote the album and recorded it at the same time, so they had access to just different writing tools in general when they were there.
Wow.
Which kind of helped with the whole sound of the album, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of got to shape it in a different way when you're doing that. Whereas I imagine, like, previously they probably had things written before going into recording it.
Yeah.
Maybe more so. Maybe not even. I have no idea.
Yeah, who knows? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess who knows. There's no real way of knowing, I guess. You can only kind of infer, but...
Yeah. I wonder if they did this most recent album the same way. Like at the same studio they recorded Interloper at.
That'd be interesting.
That's a good
Talk to them
question.
about
Mm-hmm.
when we go see them.
Yeah, we're seeing them in was it July 26th
Yeah.
in Seattle. I think that's the date.
Yeah, they're opening for Starfucker, right?
Yeah. I'm pumped for that show. So
Yeah,
this
that'll be
podcast will probably be out on that day.
Yeah, we're going to time it so it releases that day. It gives us another 6 months to plan recording the next episode.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing this past 6 months, is planning this episode. That's why all your notes are right in front of you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Make some like paper flipping sounds.
Yeah. I'm like, hold on, play the synthesizer. Have a sound for that.
Okay, so we got King Gizzard, Bootleg Gizzard, Holy Wave.
Let's remove Bootleg Gizzard because I don't think actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of remembering more, and I'm pretty sure number two is definitely Holy Wave because I know I listened to a fuck ton of Holy Wave this year. I mean, I was working at a grocery store, so
Oh, checks out.
yeah.
Yeah, relatable.
Number 3, I think, was Paralymph, actually.
Oh, damn.
Um,
Damn.
I know they were definitely my top 5. I don't think they were number 2. Because I wasn't really just listening to that album as casually as I don't know. It's a bit more of a thing than.
Yeah, it's like albums of that caliber feel to me almost like a disservice to listen to them just casually. Like I have to ritualize it in some way.
Yeah, I mean there were many nights where I listened to it like 4 times, but that's just
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is really good.
Have you listened to like mostly Tooth and Ho? Is your from that band?
Yeah, it's definitely the most listened album out of all 3 of theirs, but I would say that I've listened to both Dur and One.
Yeah. I love that. It's so weird the way they did that.
Yeah. A strange band. I really like them too, actually. I'm saying that a lot right now. But I was going to say that I really like the sound design on One. It's different, way different than what they did in Dur and then forward into Tooth and Ho, but
yeah,
it's got a sort of almost gritty quality that's kind of nice about it.
Yeah, it's like kind of as they're figuring out recording, but still knowing very much what they're doing. Because like it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound very professional. His phone is ringing.
Dude, I've been getting these spam calls. Like,
let's answer it on air.
no, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's still very clearly well done. It's well recorded. They knew what they were doing, but they've gotten better, like a lot better. Like Tooth and Ho is immaculate.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's such a everything about it is just great. So yeah, they were in. I'm gonna say they were number 3. 4, I believe, was PPC.
Oh, okay. Have they been in your top 5 for many years running?
Since I found them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Usually 1. This is the
Usually
first year
1.
that they weren't at number 1, actually.
Wow. King Gizzard.
Yeah.
Takes
First
the
time
cake.
Giz was at top 2, actually.
Dude, this is my first time in a few years they haven't been number 1.
Well, you only listened to one band this year. So,
Yeah, we'll get to that.
yeah. No, there's yeah, so PPC was at number 4. Yeah, that actually definitely is the order now that I'm recalling it. That is just kind of expected though. Like I'm always listening to them. Like they're kind of always just I can always go back to that. So
Yeah. On that note, Franzoli. Because that came out, that's 3 months ago now.
wow, it's been 3 months.
Yeah, dude, that was November. I just listened to a podcast with Jack today where he was talking about that. It was, oh man, what was it? The vinyl review or vinyl guide, something like that. It was like an hour long, but yeah, they kind of talked about that a bit, whereas like just getting further into recording albums and just making them cleaner and cleaner, kind of like how we were just talking about with Paralymph, where it's like you learn more tricks as you go and the more you record, especially when you're doing it at home, like a lot of these DIY psych bands are, that it just kind of gets cleaner and cleaner over time, generally, especially if you're putting more of a thought into that, which is kind of what people do. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Franzoli in terms of how you rank that band's discography?
Honestly, ranking that band's discography is pretty tough for me in general, because it's almost hard to compare High Visceral to everything else they've done, because I feel like I have a... It's the exact kind of music I want to hear in High Visceral, so like it's not really fair to compare it almost to the rest of their discography. But if I had to, I mean, that's never going to change. Those are going to be my two favorites. But I would honestly say Franzoli is up there. I don't think I like it more than Night Gnomes. I sort of feel like the payoffs aren't as big in Franzoli as they were in Night Gnomes, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
every
yeah.
song, the builds felt more rewarding in Night Gnomes, and just the song structures themselves felt... I liked them better. It just felt like it flowed better as an album.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I agree with that, honestly.
That being said, there are some insane tracks on Franzoli. What's that one? SS Sinker.
I don't even know that. Like, I
It's
have no
SS.
idea.
It's like Captain SS Sinker or something. Like no, that's whatever it is. It's like SS Sink or something. That one is amazing. And then like Hot Heat.
Yeah,
Wow.
Hot Heat, Hot Wow, or whatever it is.
Hot Heat, Hot Wow, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That track is insane. That
Yeah.
is that's like tip top PPC energy in that song right there.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, too, is like even going from all the way back to the High Visceral albums, it's the energy in those like really just ripping songs. Because they definitely leaned more into progressive rock, obviously, in those first two albums, but then Night Gnomes as well, like you were just saying. But they've never shied away, obviously, from having just crazy energy. And I think it seems that they've focused more into that lately, like as they've gone through more and more albums. Always retaining elements and kind of just choosing which album is going to be focused more into what style, which is really good. And it honestly shows a lot of good musicianship beyond just being able to play an instrument as well. Because the crafting songs part of it is a whole other thing. And conceptualizing the flow of albums. Like, I don't know how many songs they must have just on the backlog, but choosing where to go or where to put each song and how an album is going to flow and what the general vibe of it is going to be is a whole thing, especially for, I imagine, for a band like that where they are really well versed in a lot of things, a lot of styles musically, that they can kind of flex at will depending on how they want the overall vibe of an album to be.
Yeah. I think that's a fair way to just describe how their songwriting has progressed in general. It's impressive, honestly, watching them. Like, because we've been now like listening to them for most of their albums.
Yeah, we started listening to them in 2017.
Yeah, and that was just after they released High Visceral too.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's cool watching that whole progression and not looking at it from the outside with, like, you know, Tame Impala, for example, where like we weren't really there for the whole...
Yeah, I only started listening after Currents.
Yeah, exactly. Or even Giz, because like I
Yeah.
didn't start listening to them till mostly after their whole 2017 run.
Same.
So like I didn't experience that whole like huge kind of...
Yeah.
I don't want to say trajectory shift, but like huge improvement of songwriting and just album crafting as a whole.
Yeah.
Like really just jumped to another level with their 2017 releases.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen interviews where they've talked about how they'll have so much going on at a time, and that whole 2017 run of albums was an accumulation of songs that were being built up for the past, like, the many years prior. And I'm really curious which of the 2017 albums was the first one they kind of conceptualized or started writing for.
Well, have you ever seen that bootleg Holiday from Hell video?
I think I watched it once a while ago.
It's like
yeah.
2.5 hours of
Yeah.
like tour of it. In there, like in the first 14 minutes or so, I think might be a bit later in, but they're playing The Fourth Color.
No way.
Yeah,
Isn't that video from a long time ago? Too?
2014. Some of
Oh
those
my
shots were.
God.
Yeah, That's I found out that that's their whole New York thing. That's them
Oh
living in New York,
man.
and those shows
Wow.
they're playing are the ones where they were driving down to New York.
Holy crap.
So that was that year that they were living there. I think it was a year, whatever time frame they were allowed to live there for. But
That is so cool.
yeah,
Holy crap.
so yeah, they were working on many components of future albums because there's little nuggets tossed throughout the whole video. Now that we have like this many albums from them, it's fun to go back and watch it and see like how far back they were working on certain things.
Yeah.
That puts at least Polygon to Wannaland like working on for 3 years, or at least components of it for 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, an album like that. If you told me they'd been working on that for 20 years, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is super cool. Going back, there's one more in your top 5.
Floral.
Floral. Damn. All right.
That also checks out. I've listened to Postponement a lot this year. Also, I really like Curb the Excess as well. I always forget they have that. And there are some fantastic songs on there.
Yeah, Rendezvous and Nani are standouts to me.
I don't think Nani's on it. I think Nani's on
Nani?
that EP, like Burn the Cigarettes or something. That's not.
Oh,
the name of it.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah,
but
they have an EP
yeah.
with a couple other songs.
Something cigarettes is in
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
Clearly, I'm a huge
Actually,
fan.
no. I think that's actually just a lyric in Nani. Mama lit a cigarette. Something
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a line like that.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah, Curb the Excess is really good. I'm struggling to remember song names from that album, but I know there are lots of songs from there I really like. But yeah, Floral is number 5, and that checks out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't make it in my top 5 this year, but I think they were somewhere in my top 5 last year. Also, mostly Postponement. And, like, same boat for me. Like, I don't forget about Curb the Excess and their other stuff, but, like, Postponement is just such a... I don't want to use the word classic, but it's like it's a staple, you know? Like I haven't gone a month without listening to it since I found that. And that was, I think we started listening to them back in 2020 or 2019. Which actually was the year Postponement came out, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was released in 2019.
Damn.
Wait.
Let's
It actually might be
double-check that.
older. It might actually be 2016. For some reason, I'm thinking 2016.
I'll pull it up and check right now, because I'm going to have to pull my phone to check my own top 5, because I don't remember how you just did. That's props. I mean,
know
two of them were the same, so.
Not really. I don't actually think they made my top 5 now that I think about it.
Maybe top 6.
They're probably number
They're not.
6.
6 isn't counted. Okay, let's see. Albums downloaded.
It'd be cool if they gave you a top 10 instead.
Yeah, Spotify. If you're one of our 1 listeners, then you should make it top 10 next year on Wrapped. Postponement by Floral, 2019.
Okay, well.
May 3rd. Yeah, it's I have like kind of this bias that I know you do as well against albums that are like only an album by technicality.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's like I want it to be 45 minutes. You know?
Well, I would prefer it, yeah.
I would prefer
But
it.
in the case of something like Postponement,
Yeah, this is 32 minutes, but
they cram
yeah.
32 minutes full of just really good songwriting and oral delights. Like, it's fucking...
Yeah.
Oh, it's just such a good album.
Yeah, it's so good. And just talking about like flow again as well throughout the album. The whole track listing, that just sound design, weaving everything together. Oh my god, and it's a lot of that is sound design, like just tones, what kind of synth sounds they're using, what pedals they're using, all the gear that kind of makes up their distinctive sound that is them, that characterizes every song, regardless of any stylistic influences that shine through more than others per song. It's always distinctly them, which is another thing given that's extra impressive with that band, given their output, because really it is just postponement and let me double check this actually. I don't want to. I think it's just postponement and Curb the Excess and then the other EP. Let's see.
I would love to see more music from
Oh, dude, Over Imaginary Cigarettes. That's what it
okay.
is. Yeah,
So
that's
we
the other
were-
EP. So that's got Nani, Nowhere Near, Heat Seeter, Culture Ghost,
Culture Ghost is a great song.
and an early version of Mindfield,
Yeah.
which I'm a huge fan of that. Thank you, Floral, for putting out the same song twice in 2 versions. I think that's badass. 1,000 monthly listeners. What a shame.
Only 1,000.
I know, right? Oh, they got a Thin King EP as well. Look at that. I have not listened to this much. Yeah, I mean, in the realm of albums that are less than, I'm going to say like less than 38 minutes, Postponement, I've listened to by far the most of albums that are less than 38 minutes. It's like you said, like they just crammed so much in there. It's phenomenal. Their use of time signatures and the way they play with rhythm while keeping it always feeling like fresh.
And groovy as well. Like you
Yeah.
can always move to it. That's something that like really impresses me about like, especially their usage of 5.
Yeah.
It's the most unique use of 5 I've heard. That isn't just like a standard 5 rhythm that
Yeah.
everyone defaults to.
Well, I mean, I think it is though. I think it's a standard rhythm. This like one of the most standardized 5/4 rhythms on drums. But to me, what makes it, if I'm recalling correctly, at least, maybe I'm totally wrong, but it's really the composition, because they have got that synth lead going over in like 4 bars of 20 for it to complete and like loop the
Oh.
synth. But then it's also got the guitar rhythm and the bass accenting on the drums. It's like it's the whole composition and arrangement of the 5/4 makes it feel just so much cooler than like almost any 5/4 that I've heard. It's it's right up there with Out of Phase, Druid Fluids. That's another one of my top 5/4s.
Yeah. That album
That album
is insane.
Yeah. Then, Now, Again and Again. And that came out
In October, I
in
think.
October. Okay. Dude, yeah. We got to talk on that album, because holy crap. I remember first hearing the single Out of Phase it must have been like 2018 or something like that. Like a good couple of years ago. And at the time, they had that and another single called Dr. Miller. And that was it. It was 2 songs, and I was like, I literally checked their band page on Spotify on like a monthly basis. I was like, holy crap, these are so freaking good. Have they released anything else? They finally did this year, and well, I guess the last year now, but oh my god, like I could not be more impressed. I could not be more thrilled about this album. It is so freaking good.
Yeah, that's one of the best albums I've heard in years. It's like phenomenal. One of just everything about it. It is 60s, but so modern and just coated with modern production talents and like ideas and just tools, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I remember one of the first things you mentioned to me when we initially, like the first, after like a week when it came out, and we were talking about it, is that 60s influence, and specifically Beatles, where it's like you could kind of pinpoint different parts throughout the album and different songs where it's like, this sounds like a John Lennon B-side, but just like fast forwarded through time. And it's all the extra layers that are on it, and all the production is so fresh. And just up to date with what's going on in the what's the like the knife edge of neo-psych, on the cutting edge. That's the term. That's the yeah. It's so crazy, the blending of styles. And I mean, you said it, that he made an Instagram post, or the band made something saying they'd been working on it for however long, or it was like many years in the making, and it really shows.
Yeah, I think in an Instagram post he said that some of the songs had been in the works since he was 16 or 17. I'm not sure how old he is, but let's assume that he was at least 18 when Out of Phase came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 7 years to work on the album.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I mean, it shows. It really does show.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of the most immaculate albums that has come out in recent years, in my mind. It surpasses so many things, and at least for my own kind of rankings of neo-psych the past couple of years. It's crazy. Like I can't believe that the way they managed to distill down even their Australian influences. You can hear Tame Impala in it. You can hear Giz in there too.
Yeah.
Like at moments, like on the songs like, what's that one called? Is it not just called Jazzy or something like that? Jazzy. Yeah. That one, you can hear the Giz in there.
Yeah, it's like a 2.5 minute, just absolute ripper.
That, even on the closing track, Layers, you can hear some Giz influence on there.
Yeah, totally.
But also Tame Impala in many places.
Mm-hmm.
And like we just said, the 60s kind of huge twist.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. I can't. I'm struggling to find words to describe it properly right now.
Yeah, it's such a huge. It holds such a high position in my mind as well, of albums that have come out lately, because it just binds so much together of what's been going on in neo-psych and the whole development in the past decade of this kind of burgeoning subgenre. Blended with all the most classic influences like Beatles, Floyd, Zeppelin, all this stuff. It's like it's all in there so neatly woven together. And yeah, the it being so impressive about or not, what's the better way to put that there? Like, with how it's been developed over so many years. What's really cool to me about that is not only that it shows in the sense that the songs are just really good and very, very thought about. I mean, like, I know you've given it a lot of active listens where you're just paying close attention to every minute detail, and there's so much depth to absorb within this album that that it is very clear that it's been thought about a lot in the development of it. But the other aspect that's really cool about what comes through to me in the sense of it, or on the topic of it being developed over so many years, this album, is that I really get the sense that the songs have been refined over and over and over again. You know, like the way that like Out of Phase came out however many years ago, and then they have this, it opens up the album. It's the first song on the album, but it's a different version than their single version, like we were just talking about with Mindfield by Floral. And I really get the sense with this Druid Fluids album that a lot of the songs probably had that same treatment, where it's, you know, he probably wrote a bunch of them at one point in time and then like revisited them the next year and was like, I could fix this, or I could do this different, or just learned something new about music and writing and just how to make something cooler. And then doing it the same time over and over with all these different songs. You know, it's like metalworking. You just like fold it, smash it again, fold it, smash it again, fold it, smash it again. It's like just this repeated process until it's this perfect product. And that's really what it is. Like, it's, yeah, goddamn. That's enough of that.
Yeah, we could talk about that out.
It's
that
a good
album.
album.
We could start dissecting every single single on, or not single, every single song on there. And
Were there any singles?
yeah, there were. I'm pretty sure he released Sour's Happy Fantasy.
Really?
Yeah,
That was the single?
I'm pretty
Wow.
sure it was. And I also think
That's bold. Of all the songs in that album? That's
I know,
crazy.
Right?
I
Also
love that.
Into,
I love that.
Into Me, I See.
Okay.
Is that what it-
Into Me, I See.
Yeah, Into Me, I See.
Yeah.
That was a single as well. That
Yeah.
one makes sense because that's one
Yes.
of the best songs on the album.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite. Either that or Out of Phase. I mean, no, I don't know. Either way.
Yeah,
Either way. In any case.
Get into your top five.
My top five. I took some pictures of my Spotify Wrapped, so there's a couple things I want to go over because I think it's freaking cool. So my top five. Number one, say it with me, Vinyl Williams.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Nick has been raving about Vinyl Williams.
We saw him live a couple times. Once it would have been like mid to late 2022, right?
Yeah, it was August 2022.
Yeah, okay. August 2022, we saw Vinyl Williams live in Bellingham.
Holy Wave opened.
Holy Wave
Laguna
opened.
Largo.
And Laguna Largo. Really, really cool local Bellingham band. Yeah. But we saw him live there. I remember when we went to that show, we bought the tickets for Holy Wave and didn't even realize the other two bands were there.
Yeah.
It was like, we were just like, oh, we're going to see fucking Holy Wave. And then we saw the full bill and it's like, oh my God, this just got way better.
Yeah.
But that was then. And then we then saw Vinyl Williams again at Desert Days 2022.
Yeah.
I'm getting mixed up, man, because I keep forgetting that Desert Days didn't happen this year. And, like, I'm thinking, like, Desert Days 2023, but there's no such thing.
Yes, there was. There was Days in the City.
Doesn't count.
It's not the real thing.
It's not at Lake Paris. Yeah, his Desert Days set was unreal. He had the night slot at is it the outer space or the inner space?
Outer Space.
Outer space.
After Tame Impala.
Yeah, on the Saturday night. Holy crap.
What a set to follow up to. Like, what a just slot to have to.
Dude, I was shell-shocked by Lonerism. Like, shell-shocked, man.
I didn't even go to see Vinyl Williams at all. I fell asleep.
Oh, dude, you missed out. It was hilarious because I forget what time his set started, but that night slot, like, it's just one band gets that per night, the night slot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's nobody coming after. And they just kept going and going. Like, they played for probably an hour and a half. And I remember at one point he's, like, on the stage and, like, everybody's cheering for more. And he's like, don't you people sleep? And, like, everybody just kept on cheering for more. And I don't know how long that set went for, but it was phenomenal. We got back from that, and I listened to pretty much nothing but Vinyl Williams for a few months until we saw him again in Bellingham again.
In March.
In March.
That was quite a while ago already.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Wow. That feels recent, man. That still
kinda
feels
does, yeah.
recent. Yeah. Laguna Largo opened in Bellingham then for Vinyl Williams as well. So hopefully.
And so did the Groovy Nobody.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. The Groovy Nobody. That is a band that my eyes have been so opened by that. Like, holy crap. I thought I knew Neo Psych. I thought I was like had all the ins and outs and like is like there's not many bands I don't know about that like I should know about that like, but holy crap, seeing them live, I have almost never been so completely floored by a live performance that I was not expecting.
You know what it was like? It was like when we went to Desert Days in 2019 and Triptides was the first thing that opened, where it was you look around, you're like, is this really like as if this is the band that is opening this festival? Like,
Yeah.
Floored. Yeah, is a good word to use.
Yeah, like my jaw was on the floor that whole Groovy Nobody set. I remember, they probably stopped playing like at maybe 2 times. They just kept on weaving different things together, and it was so impressive because between there was 5 people in the band, 2 drummers, and
Yeah.
they're weaving like this super long, drawn out, jammy 7/4 part, and then suddenly they're playing in 5/4, and
Yeah.
it's like, how do you even put this all together? Like, what are the practice sessions like? Like, how much has this been building up to the point where they can do this live just seamlessly? It was insane. It's really, really good. I'm excited to see them again.
Me too. I hope to see them on some festival bills. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see them at Desert Days.
There's a lot of bands that I would love to see at Desert Days.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Me too. But yeah, Vinyl Williams
Is your number one?
is my number 1.
Yeah, who's number 2?
King Gizzard. Look at that.
Yeah, that
Another
checks out.
huge shocker. Yeah, like I was mentioning before, they've been my number 1 on the Wrapped for I think 2 or 3 years running, which is makes the whole Vinyl Williams taking that spot even more pronounced. Yeah, not going to get more into that. Number 3 was Pink Floyd. I think they've been in my top 5 since 2018, varying spots. Yeah, I don't really know what to comment on that. That's one that's like,
We'd have a whole 5-episode series just on Floyd.
yeah,
It's a can of worms we almost can't really.
I don't know how to touch on it without delving so deep into it. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that's a whole thing. Number 4, Tame Impala. Again, been in my top 5 for the past many years. A lot of these are like, it's really, what stands out to me is obviously it's such a stupid statement, the ones that stand out, the ones that haven't been regulars, like Vinyl Williams, and like my number 5, Flamingods.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot
Flamingods, yeah. So they have this 2019 album called Levitation that I've been freaking obsessed with since I first found it. And it's one of those bands where like we talk about this with Frankie a lot, Frankie and the Witchfingers, where their first 3 albums were like, they're good. I like those a lot. But they put out Brain Telephone, and that's a whole new era.
Yeah, things changed.
Things fucking changed, man. And that's the same thing with Flamingods. They have a few albums before Levitation, and they're good, but Levitation just blows everything out of the water. And this past year, it was October, I think, they put out
Head of Pomegranate.
Head of Pomegranate, which is how do you even like compare that? Like it's more synth focused for sure.
Absolutely.
Relative to Levitation. It's more kraut in the sense that they're kind of, I feel like when they have an idea that like they just know is really good and worth sitting on, they're not afraid to just like dive into that and submerge within this soundscape for a good few minutes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the songs. Like it's
Adana, I think, is essentially the same chord progression for the whole 3 minutes, but it's such a ripping chord progression, and the movement of the drums with the guitar that's kind of doing this like weird octave arpeggio kind of thing. It just works. They can ride on it for 3 minutes and it doesn't get boring.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It really shows this very refined songwriting process where you can tell from that album, just even on first listen, like this band, these people have been writing music together for a long time, and it shows so clearly with that how they're able to just get into these grooves and know how to make them, how to ride on them for a full song and have it feel fresh right up until the end and still leave you wanting more. And to me, that's like most of the album. It's just everything that I love the most about krautrock without being fully krautrock, like we were just mentioning with Holy Wave, where it's like, it's not, I wouldn't call that a krautrock band, but god damn, they do it well.
Yeah, they definitely listen to Noi. They're definitely
Yeah.
listening to those bands, but it's
Oh, yeah.
not, the intentional trying to create, what is that album called, Autobahn or whatever it is.
That one's by Kraftwerk.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just completely emulate it, but they're taking the idea of krautrock and applying it to whatever genres you're being influenced by in whatever song, because it's not it's not so much about it being just like the motoric beat and like the the same thing for 11 minutes straight, but it's more just about I think the kind of feeling that krautrock that krautrock gives you, just feeling like you're in a tunnel and just like surrounded by synthesizers or walls of guitar or whatever it is, and that's a hard time keeping composure. I see.
I just thought of a bad joke. I'm not gonna mention that.
Yeah.
I think you know exactly what I'm gonna say.
Oh my goodness,
Okay.
that's hilarious.
So Flaming Gods is my number 5.
Yeah.
And that's my top 5. That all seems very accurate to me. There's been a couple times in years past where, just not even for myself, but talking to other people about the Wrapped, where they've felt that it's not been completely accurate or things weren't calculated correctly. I haven't fully felt that. I haven't felt that at all, actually. I've always felt like my Wrapped is very representative and accurate to what I've been listening to that year. The one thing that doesn't hold true to is this year it told me I listened to 6 genres.
Yeah, I think there's just something wrong there, because like I got 7 or something like that, or 5. Like it was an insanely low amount. Like, initially, I was like, okay, maybe they started They started looping. They started grouping things together. Like rock just became a broad encompassing.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it some more, and even if I were to do that, I've definitely listened to more than 5 or 7 genres, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because throughout the year I've listened to stuff like Miles Davis and John Coltrane, or even going as far as like John Denver, and like I've had Brockhampton on too. So there's no way that that checks out at all.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And yeah, I remember in the visualization, like the actual Wrapped things, it's not playing anymore because it's January. It showed that it listed them, and I had like neo-psych, garage rock, progressive rock. So it's like it's not grouping them super tightly. Like it's definitely still giving some subgenre variation, which really doesn't make sense. Because I remember we looked at Hunter's as well, his Wrapped, and he had like 30 genres. So it's like, what's the deal? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some kind of weird thing going on there.
Yeah. Either way, it's a bit of a side note. It's just strange because I've never had that before, where I felt like that's just not accurate. But in any case, Wrapped is cool, so I don't mind it. But I listened to 644 artists this year, is what it told me. So
I wish I had taken a photo of mine. I think mine was in the same range, like 600 or like 690 or something like that. Like,
okay. Yeah, that sounds familiar from a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it. I remember, I think last year or the year before, I was marveling at my own. I had like 400 or 500 new artists. It wasn't total artists, but it was like new ones that was listened to. And I remember telling you about that. I was like, dude, check this out. I found so much new music this year. And you showed me yours, and it was like triple the amount or something. I was like, oh, okay.
that was the year I listened to a new album every single day, though. At the very least.
Crazy.
That was 2020.
Okay.
That was, not doing anything in the pandemic, working a job I didn't really like. So it was just, you go home and get stoned, and I'd throw on a new album every single night. That was...
Yeah.
I would often listen to more than one album, but the requirement was I had to listen to at least one new album every night. I set that goal for myself.
And how long did you maintain that?
Oh, the whole year.
Wow.
Yeah, I listened
Wow.
to 365 albums. It didn't. It had to be just something I never heard before. So it could have been anything from a jazz record from the 60s, or going back as far as something like Robert Johnson or Django. Anything. It just had to be a new album that I'd never heard before.
Damn. Okay. Wow. That is super cool. Yeah, I guess like just having the liberty of time to do that without all the other commitments that are generally kind of pressing down on one's life.
Yeah, I was listening to like 4 hours of music a night or something like that. It was insane. That was
That's
the year I had the
wild.
most minutes listened. I think I was just over 100,000 or something like that. Like,
That's also the year that you accumulated the most guitar pedals.
there's no correlation there whatsoever.
None at all. None at all.
A lot of it was psych rock, like neo psych to be specific. I mean, that was just after Desert Days in 2019, and that just completely changed.
Yeah. Yeah. That really revolutionized it. I mean, we went to Folk Fest a couple times, but like Desert Days was the first real festival experience, and that was unlike anything that was so far from anything in my life previously. It was that just completely shook up everything in my brain. It was like, holy crap, this exists.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of. I mean, it made me realize that there's a whole community, like a whole massive worldwide, like, community of people that are listening to neo psych and that are still wanting to like
Yeah.
uphold that, and that I think that made some dreams that were a little bit seemed far fetched more real, and some just
Yeah.
ideas of how to go about life. I mean, I think really the seeds to moving were probably first planted then.
Absolutely.
Where it
Yeah.
was like, oh my goodness, there's other places. Well, obviously, you go on a trip like that. Like, you go on
Yeah.
trips and whatever as kids, but it's different when you go on a trip with friends because it's you take it your own way. Like, you're essentially taking your way of life and bringing it with you on vacation rather than your parents who are like kind of like, no, this is how things are gonna go. Or this is our itinerary.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you kind of plan out things yourself, and you're only doing what you want to do. Like, it's a real vacation. You're only doing what you want to do for the whole time.
and you get to almost experience yourself in whatever location you are rather than.
Yeah, and that can reveal different parts of yourself that had previously been just dormant or kind of untapped. Things it gives a completely foreign opportunity to learn about yourself in a way when you're not even expecting to.
Yeah, like we really just went for the music, but it turns out that whole thing kind of led to every single decision made beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It really was, like you mentioned, like the dawning of the realization of the global community around neopsych, and in the way that it's not really localized anywhere. Like, there's a couple hot spots. Like, I think we mentioned on the last podcast that
Yeah, I think we talked
like
about it. Yeah,
we got like LA is a huge hot spot, but I mean that's kind of
It's
I
a
don't know
hotspot
how
for
much that
everything.
counts because yeah, it's a hot spot for everything. There's just 40 million people there, so like, good God, it's gonna be a community for everything there.
It's
yeah.
not 40; it's 20, I think.
Okay, okay.
40 is insane. That's Tokyo.
Yeah, we're getting there. They're getting there. But yeah, LA, Austin has been on the come up in the past few years as a hub for neopsych, and then
New York. There's actually like a strange.
would you say so?
I think so. There's a good amount of bands actually that kind of originate from that area. I mean, we got Lucid Links from Boston, and we got Acid Dad, we got
Yeah, Acid
Maybirds,
Dad.
we got
Oh, I forgot Maybird is from there.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Um,
Gift as well.
Gift.
That was a good show, man. We
Yes,
saw
yeah.
Gift. What?
2 months ago
2
now?
months ago now? Yeah.
Holy
oh my
crap.
God.
Yeah, they're a good band.
This is incredible. Incredible.
There's more from New York. Carone, they're from that area. They're from Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, dude, that's right.
yeah.
that's
There's
right.
definitely. I'm pretty sure Elder is actually located out of there as well.
I think a couple of the members are from there, but they're now living in Germany. I might be mistaken on that.
That would make sense given that whole other band, that like super band
Oh
that
yeah,
formed.
what was that called again? I don't remember the name of that.
I don't remember. You'd have to go onto Elder's Instagram because I'm pretty sure they linked it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's Nick DeSalvo from Elder
Yes.
with
Fabien
Fabien.
from Paralymph on keys, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Nick is on drums. And then I have this incorrectly, but I think the other two members are from Spiral Drive.
Oh,
They're
wow.
from. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure they're from a kraut band, like one that
Mm.
we've definitely heard of before.
What's that album by Spiral Drive? The one with that like.
Crazy Art.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember what that's
I
called?
don't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's
Bloom. I
called.
think the word bloom might be in it, or
Okay, that sounds familiar. But at this point, I don't know if I'm thinking of like 10 other Psych albums.
yeah, yeah. Good point. Yeah,
Um,
it's a popular word.
Spiral Drive, either way.
band.
Fantastic band.
Very good.
And this supposed supergroup in Europe.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be seeing something from them in the coming years.
I think they released a single or two already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you heard about that? That they're doing that?
I think that must have been back in like August or something like that.
Okay, okay.
Maybe even earlier in the year.
Huh.
It was when Elder was on tour. Oh, you know what? It was probably around May. It was
That's when we saw them.
yeah, because their tour like ended like shortly after we saw them, and then I think right after that is when I saw the announcement for that.
Okay, okay. Damn. Yeah, that's another. I remember we saw them. That was our second time seeing them.
This time was better.
It was, oh yeah. Like the first time I was, I've never been like crazy into metal, throughout like at any points of my life. I've gone through a lot of different phases of what styles of music I've been listening to, but I've never had a really big metal phase. But Elder has been, ever since I first found out about them, that's like a huge standout where it's, and they just blend everything so well. You know, it's not just metal, it's also prog rock, it's also psych, it's like,
Ambience too. Like,
yeah, it's so good. It's such a good blend. And again, with the trajectory of just all the albums, you know, going from, I forget what their first one was, but I think Dead Root Stirring was their second or third album.
I think so. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite still. But yeah, and then moving forward from there, you get, I don't know the order, but yeah, like Lore, Reflections of a Floating World.
Gold and Silver Sessions.
Gold and Silver Sessions is insane. Holy crap. I remember when we listened to that with Graham. That was an experience, dude. The way they play with time signatures and you know, actually I don't know what to say about it. It's just it's wild.
Yeah.
It's a good album. And that's another one that's like short. Like I don't even know if that's technically an album. I think isn't that technically an EP because it's only 3 songs, or is it 4? Whatever it is, it's like it's
Yeah, I think
short,
you
but
might be
they're
right.
long songs. So it kind of works out in a way that it can kind of be classified as an album because of the total runtime.
They're hacks.
Yeah. Screw them, right?
Total hacks.
Screw them. But yeah, they we saw them for the second time in May of 2022 in Seattle. Both times we saw them was at Substation in Seattle. Fantastic venue, super cool. We saw Hoover 3 there also around that time.
Who else have we seen there? That's it, I think. Right?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. There's a couple cool bands that opened for them. What was that band that opened for Hoover 3?
I don't remember.
It was like something World. Or
Moaned.
yeah, I don't remember what it was. They were cool though.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to the band that could be named World.
Sorry, we forgot your name. You're cool though. Yeah, it was amazing. I got the drummer's drumsticks at the end of the show.
You did.
It was awesome. I still have those. They're tattered and beaten as hell. Like,
As one would expect, hearing their music.
yeah. Very true. Very true. Let's get back to the Spotify Wrapped, because I haven't made all my points. I got more pictures. I saved
got
this.
more
I loved this, dude. I loved this. I get so into the Wrapped, man. It's super exciting. So 644 artists, 4,426 songs, and I got to assume that's like individual songs, not total times I listen to a song,
Yeah, there's no way.
Because the total minutes listened to was, I think this is like just shy of the highest amount of minutes listened to that I've ever had. I got 82,000 this year,
Nice.
which I'm stoked about. I think that's awesome. The highest I ever had was, I think, 2018. I listened to like 86,000. But it's never been that high since. And of these 82,000, 10,000 of those, or wait, no, I think it was 6,000. Between 6 and 7,000 was Vinyl Williams. Oh yeah, it says right here. Yeah, 6,700. So that's pretty awesome.
Oh, see, that's crazy. I listened to like 9,000 minutes of Giz this year.
Oh my god. And dude, if you pair that with the bootleg, it's
Well,
probably like 15,000.
Remember, that's what I was telling you. I had an insane amount listened, but I was only in the top like 0.5 or something like that. And I was like, oh my
Oh.
goodness. So there are some people that listen to like an insane amount of Giz.
Yeah. Just absolute ravenous fans. I mean, hey. That's a band to be ravenous about, for sure.
Yeah.
They got the material. Yeah.
Oh, did you see that Stu said in an interview that they're going to be returning to a guitar-focused album?
Ooh, hey.
Yeah.
That's neat. Pumped for that. Dude, I think I've still only listened to Silver Cord like twice since it came out. I don't remember what month that came out, but like that's one of those ones where after the first time I listened to it, it was that same kind of notion that's like, oh my god, I gotta ritualize this and make a whole event of listening to it, because I don't really want to listen to the non-extended version.
Yeah, I don't really like it. There are some songs, honestly, on the extended version that I do think kind of run their course a bit too long. Only by a little bit. But the radio edits, if you will, the album edit, we'll call it, it doesn't do them justice. Especially things like Thea and Gilgamesh, I thought especially got robbed in the non-extended version. That's actually one of my favorite songs in the album. Gilgamesh is awesome. I love that little like vocal,
Yeah.
like I don't know what you call like descending action in music in terms of pitch, but
yeah, whatever the Italian word for that is.
yeah, like Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really cool. Compared with the synth, it's
Yeah, the layering is really good. That's something that Giz has always been good with, is like layering the same line or like something close to the same line, whether it just be a doubling or a harmony across different instruments. And like one of the most important aspects of that is how it's mixed in. You know, you take into account it's not just two things going on doing the same thing or a similar thing, but it's also the volume balancing and the panning, the effect on each thing, and it's like that's one of those like little intricate things that you can really see how that band has put a lot of focus into, that being one of the many things that creates for a very distinctively King Gizzard sound.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's yeah, I haven't not listened to that album as much as I'd like to, because it's just a commitment, you know? It's like it's one of those things where like I like long albums. I like that like double LP length, but a lot of the time I face this this dichotomy with them, because what I find with double LPs is that generally the reason a band makes a double LP is because they're putting an overwhelming amount of thought and care into an album, that it ends up being like more runtime than just a standard LP. And the other side of that like extra thought and care is like I want to be able to appreciate that fully and not just listen to it casually. You know, and like obviously I will sometimes, but it's just nice to be able to actively listen to it and dedicate a block of time where you're just fully absorbing it. And yeah, that's why I haven't listened to that as much. That's why like I feel the same thing about The Wall. You know what I mean?
Well, there are definitely other conditions on why you don't listen to that casually, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, I'm a huge fan of double LPs, but it's definitely a dichotomy in there. Yeah, that's wrapped, man. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Maybe
That's a wrap.
We should probably wrap this episode
Yeah,
too.
we could wrap that there. I think. What? Want to hold the microphone here? What's actually no?
Yeah, hold on. Give me that double
No,
microphone action.
It's taped to the floor.
We're getting double microphone action.
What time are we even at here? I keep on using the mouse, dude. Yeah. Okay, we're at like an hour. We're at an hour. Okay. That's that. That's a wrap. That's a Spotify wrap.
And that's that.